Hey guys, welcome back to another build guide. Today we're going to be covering the Nightmare Poison Imbued Twisting Blades. This took me a little longer than I expected. I was doing a lot of testing with different Paragon Board setups and aspects, and this setup is what I felt the best when running dungeons. As normal, there will be timestamps for each section of the video. The skills we will be using are Poison Imbue, Dash, Twisting Blades, Death Trap, Dark Shroud, and Puncture with combo points. In my previous build guide, I got a lot of questions about why I use Death Trap, as we aren't going to be leaning into trap damage. I've had so many situations where there will be a pack of suppressor elites with some damage reduction mobs, and it's been a huge pain to deal with them. So being able to pull them all into one location and bursting them down has made running dungeons feel a lot smoother. Of course, you can sub this out for any skill that fits your playstyle. This is just what I prefer. The stats and aspects for our armor are going to be mostly the same as last build. On our helmet, we're going to go for ranks to poison imbuement, armor percent, cooldown reduction, and max life with ideally Umbros aspect. I unfortunately don't have Umbros, so I was running cheats aspect in place of it. Our chest plate, you want damage reduction from close, armor percent, and life with the aspect disobedience. On our gloves, we want crit chance, attack speed, ranks to twisting blades, and lucky hit chance with accelerating aspect. For our pants, get some with damage reduction from close, damage reduction, life, and either damage reduction from distance or damage reduction while injured with the aspect might. Our boots, we want Penitent Greaves. These really are the best in slot for almost every rogue build, but if you do not have them, go ahead and get some legendary boots with movement speed, energy cost reduction, and dex with the aspect Noxious Ice, so you can still get your damage bonuses against chilled enemies. Onto our jewelry. Our amulet, you want ranks to malice, movement speed, damage reduction, and your last roll can either be ranks to imbuement skill, dex percent, or cooldown percent. Our aspect we will be using is aspect of corruption. Rings, we want crit chance, crit damage, vuln damage, and lucky hit chance. If you are needing to be more tanky, go ahead and sub lucky hit chance out with life. The aspects you want are energizing and bursting venoms. Bursting venoms allows us to have pretty much no cooldown on poison imbuement. Although it does say 10% on lucky hit, it does proc a lot more often than you would think. As for our weapons, on our crossbow we want core damage, crit damage, vuln damage, and dex. Item power isn't important here as we won't be using it for damage just as a stat stick, but aim for at least 725 for higher rolls. And we will be using the aspect Blade Dancers as normal here. For our sword, we ideally want crit damage, core damage, vuln damage, and dex with a high item power and the aspect Rapid. And if you haven't guessed already, on our other hand, we'll be using Condemnation. If you don't have the unique dagger, go ahead and get another sword with the same stats as listed before with the Edge Master's aspect. So as always, there will be a link in the description below for the D4 builds. So we're not going to go through the entire skill tree here, but I did want to quickly talk about Poison Imbuement and why we only have 1 point into it. Now the main use of Poison Imbuement while we're doing dungeons is to reduce the damage output of the mobs, as well as increase our attack speed when we're diving packs. Now, maxing Poison Imbuement out, the only benefit it really gives us is increasing our boss damage, and our boss damage feels fine in dungeons, so I didn't really see the point in that when we can take the extra 4 nodes and put them elsewhere. If you do want more boss damage, by all means, feel free to max it out. I just feel like it's a lot smoother putting those points into other passive nodes. So onto our Paragon board, I do want to talk about how Poison Imbuement scales. Now you'll see that we're still using chip for physical damage, and that's because the way that Poison Imbuement works is it takes the damage of your core skill that you're going to be hitting with, and that's what the multiplier's on, right? So when we do chip and increase our physical damage, it increases our Twisted Blades base damage, therefore increasing our Poison Imbuement damage, if that makes sense. And I think it's kind of dumb that it's that way. I think that if you convert your skill to poison, it should like take in count your poison damage. So when we replace Chip with, I think it's Bane here, um, for increased poison damage, it doesn't actually feel better. It in fact feels worse. It feels like we hit less as hard. It does increase the damage over time with poison, but like when we're running through trash mobs, our damage output just feels worse. And I also tried using Canny. I tried using Tracker, it was, to deal more damage against poison targets, and none of it felt very good to run. Now, You guys are more than welcome to experiment, and please let me know if you find a better alternative to this. I was really like beating my head against the wall because it just didn't make sense to me why it would be worse, but that's just how it felt. If you have any improvements on the build, please let me know in the comments below. Our next build, we're going to be doing a Shadow Imbued Twisting Blades build that will be a little bit different from the Shadow Imbued builds I've seen. After that, we're going to be moving on to Range Road, which I'm super excited to mess around with and make some fun builds for. So if you like this video and want to see more build guides in the future, leave a like and subscribe. That's all for today. Have fun and take care.